Hi, I'm Michelle Starr, the Embodied Oracle, coming to you with yet another podcast. Please listen in, subscribe to someone who might want to listen as well, share, and of course, like what's going on in this podcast. I hope that you benefit from it in some way and stay along to listen a little bit longer. So, today's episode is talking about living in the consequences of yourself. Because consequences is what's come up as I've been listening to a few things and working with people, and they tend to be working with their consequences because it seems to be that's what they're left in. So there comes a moment in life where you stop asking, how did this happen to me? And you start asking, how did I participate in this? And that moment can feel confronting. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you realize you were more powerful than you thought. We are living in the consequences of our conscious and our unconscious decisions every single day. Not just the big ones, but the small, habitual, unnoticed choices. The things of those little voice that goes on inside and you just dismiss it. They're still choices that we make. So like things like the things we tolerate, the conversations we avoid having, the distractions we choose instead of presence, the ways we numb, scroll, laugh, watch, consume instead of engage. And then one day you look around at your life and you think, how did I get here? And the honest answer is rarely dramatic. It's usually quiet. It's 1,000 small moments of not trusting yourself, not listening to that internal nudge, not slowing down enough to notice you were building a reality you didn't actually want. And here's the part people struggle with: accountability. Because accountability has been framed as blame, but real accountability is power reclaiming. It's the moment you stop outsourcing your life to circumstance, timing, other people, or past versions of yourself. It's when you say, I didn't mean to create this, but I did. And if I created it, I can change it. That's not punishment. That's liberation. Now let's talk about something a little more subtler: entertainment. I always go on about entertainment because entertainment is not neutral. We entertain ourselves all day long. Here you are listening for some entertainment. And then we entertain others through content, through conversation, through habits, through distraction. So here's a question that I want you to sit with. What are you doing inside your entertainment? Are you learning? Are you exploring? Are you stretching your perspective? Are you meeting people who expand you? Are you having adventures, internal or external? Or is it low level, numbing entertainment? The kind that exists purely so you don't have to think. You don't have to feel. You don't have to engage. You don't have to contribute. Because laughing at life from a distance is safer than participating in it. Passive entertainment keeps you from responsibility, but it also keeps you from aliveness. And over time, that choice compounds. You don't suddenly wake up disconnected, you drift there. You don't suddenly lose your sense of self, you slowly stop consulting it. You don't suddenly realize you're living a life that doesn't fit. You just keep choosing comfort over consciousness. And here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Unconscious living is still a choice. It's just one you didn't pause long enough to notice. Now, this isn't about shame. Shame keeps you stuck in the past. This is about waking up where you are. Because the moment you realize you're living in the consequences of your own choices, you also realize you're standing at the doorway of new ones. And this is where trust comes back in. Not trust in yourself doesn't usually come from failure. It comes from ignoring yourself for far too long. Every time you override your intuition, every time you numb instead of feel, every time you choose distraction instead of presence, trust erodes. But trust is rebuilt the same way it was lost, in small moments. Listening when something feels off, choosing honesty over comfort, engaging with your life instead of spectating it. So let me ask you something gently, but clearly. If someone looked at you, your daily choices, your conversations, your entertainment, your routines, what kind of future would they assume you're building? Because your life is not created in big declarations, it's created in repetition. And the good news is this: you don't have to overhaul your life today. You just have to interrupt the unconscious loop. Pause before the scroll. Notice what you're consuming and why. Ask yourself, is this expanding me or avoiding me? Start entertaining ideas that challenge you, conversations that stretch you, experiences that require your presence. Because life responds to engagement. And when you stop living unconsciously, something powerful happens. You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start remembering that it's happening through you. You didn't get here by accident, and you won't move forward by accident either. The moment you take responsibility, not with blame, but with clarity, is the moment you step back into authorship. And authorship changes everything because you are the one that writes and designs your life. Stay tuned for the next podcast. I hope you enjoyed this one.